Translation: perform your duty equiposed, O Arjuna, abandoning all attachment to success or failure. Such equanimity is called yoga. Purport: Krishna tells Arjuna that he should act in yoga. And what is that yoga? Yoga means to concentrate the mind upon the Supreme by controlling the ever-disturbing senses. And who is the Supreme? The Supreme is the Lord. And because he himself is telling Arjuna to fight, Arjuna has nothing to do with the results of the fight. Gain or victory are Krishna's concern. Arjuna is simply advised to act according to the dictation of Krishna. Dictation, you know this word? The order. The following of Krishna's dictation is real yoga. And this is practiced in the process called Krishna consciousness. By Krishna consciousness only can one give up the sense of proprietorship. Proprietorship, you know what that means? Ownership. One has to become the servant of Krishna, or the servant of Krishna. That is the right way to discharge duty in Krishna consciousness, which alone can help one to act in yoga. Arjuna is a Kshatriya, and as such, he is participating in the Varnashrama institution. It is said in the Vishnu Purana that in the Varnashram Dharma, the whole aim is to satisfy Vishnu. No one should satisfy himself, as is the rule in the material world. But one should satisfy Krishna. So, unless one satisfies Krishna, one cannot correctly observe the principles of Varnashram Dharma. Indirectly, Arjuna was advised to act as Krishna told him. Ooh. So ends Prabhupada's purport. Yogasta kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya sitya sityo samobhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. It's a nice verse giving a kind of definition of yoga in terms of samatvam. We have the word sama in this verse and samatvam. And they're pretty much the same, but samatva is what would be called the abstract noun. Abstract noun. In English, we say things like happiness. So happy is describing a mood, and happiness that would be the abstract noun. So you have in Croatian, what do you have? You do the same thing, but how is it you say it? Happiness, happy, happiness. Sreća. Sreća. And being happy? Sreća? Sretana. Sretana. Okay. Yeah. In Polish, szczęśliwy. Everyone laughs, but they are laughing when they hear Croatian. It's the material world. Yeah, and then it's interesting, Prabhupada is translating also yoga sta as equiposed. Well, okay. Again, as in many cases, it could be that he's taking it from one of the commentators. But more literally, yoga sta means standing in yoga. Sta means to stand, to be situated. Situated where? You can say in yoga. Situated, standing, or Prabhupada would often say fixed. Be fixed up, fixed in yoga. And then kuru karmani. Kuru is the imperative, you know this word? Imperative means you must do it. So it's a command, and it's he's addressing Arjuna, so it's second person. There's two persons speaking to each other, and so he's speaking to Arjuna. Do. What should he do? Karmani, activities. How should he do activities? Yoga sta, standing in yoga. So whatever you do, do it within this, we say in modern English, in the space of yoga. Be in the space of yoga. Sangam tyaktva. So then we have in this verse two times, there's tyaktva and bhutva. And in English these are called gerund. So having given up, tyaktva, having given up what? Sangam. Now sangha we usually think of means association. But what does it mean literally? It means samga, going together. And going together is often, well, it's kind of the opposite of going apart, separating. And so here, in this context, it means attachment. And it's interesting, I think, just strikes me now, that Krishna is addressing Arjuna as Dhananjaya. What does Dhananjaya mean?
Conqueror of wealth.
Yes, conqueror of wealth. What's the story related to this in the Mahabharata? What's the background of this? Yes, he went out and did some fundraising. Actually, he just went, where did he go? Somewhere up in the Himalaya, where, it's years since I heard this, but there had been a yajna at a previous time, and it was maybe a previous age, and the priests and all those involved, they had just left all the paraphernalia there, even though it was pure gold. They were so some gold, so what? What can you do with gold? You can't eat it. So they just left it there, and then Arjuna came and picked it all up, and suddenly had all the goods for financing another sacrifice. So that's interesting because, why is that interesting? Well, Sangam Tyaktva Dhananjaya. O Dhananjaya, you who have won wealth, in effect he's saying, be detached from what you have gained. Could be taken that way. So we have Tyaktva, this having given up, or it can also have a sense of giving up, so while you're giving up. Sarvadharman Prityajya, this Parityajya is another form of this gerund. So, having given up all forms of dharma. Sarvadharman Prityajya Mamekam Sharanam Raja. Sangam Tyaktva Dhananjaya. having or giving up, being detached from attachment, then siddhya asiddhyoho samaha, made into samo because of sandhi, samaha bhutva. Bhutva, in this case, having become from bhutva, having become samaha, with regard to siddhi and asiddhi. What's siddhi? Yeah, success can also mean perfection. Yeah. And asiddhi must mean probably the opposite. Yeah. Although technically, according to one source I read, the in the front of a word doesn't necessarily mean the opposite. Can also mean less. So perfect or not so perfect. But anyway, in this context, probably it means the opposite. Siddhi, asiddhya. Asiddhi, samaha. Be equal in success and failure. And then comes the last line, the definition, samatvam, yoga. Uchyate, and that's also interesting. Why is uchyate? It is said. It's a kind of impersonal sort of a expression. So Krishna, who is Krishna? He's none other than Bhagavan. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the supreme authority in all matters concerning yoga. After all, he's Yogeshvara. That's mentioned at the end of the Gita. He is Lord of Yoga. But here he's being humble. He's saying, it is said that yoga, that samatvam is yoga, that being equiposed is yoga. That's yoga. You want to be considered a yogi, then be equiposed in success and failure and everything else. So that's the idea, and then Prabhupada in his purport is very clear to insist that practice of yoga is about practicing Krishna consciousness. It's the following of Krishna's dictation is real yoga. So Prabhupada brings in the point, which he often does, of authority. I've been listening to lectures of Prabhupada on verses in the beginning of this chapter, near the beginning, when Krishna first speaks, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, and Srila Prabhupada very often will speak 3/4 of his lecture on just this point. Who is Bhagavan and why that's significant that it's Bhagavan who is speaking, the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, but here he's saying, Samatvam yoga uchyate, it is said. And this is kind of elaborating on the previous verse, karmanyevadikaraste, ma paleshu kadachana, ma karma palaheturbhur, ma te sango astu akarmani. You have a right, adhikara, you have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits. Ma paleshu. At any time, kadachana. Ma karma palahetu. You're not the cause of the fruits, or don't. do not be the cause of the fruits. Ma te sangaha astu akarmani. And don't be attached to not doing your duty. This verse was quoted to me one time in South India. I was traveling with His Holiness Bhaktivaibhava Swami and the late His Holiness Suhotra Swami. We were traveling around, well, I won't say. We were kind of being like tourists. And we were in Kerala, and Suhotra Maharaj really wanted to visit this one town called Haripada, in which there's a snake temple where they worship snakes. He wanted to see that. Okay, so we went there. I've told some of you this story, I think. And so we got into a guest house, and then Bhaktivaibhava Swami and I went to go shopping for some bhoga. And while we were in the market, we got a tap on the shoulder, and it was a policeman, and he said, "Please come with me." Didn't explain why. He said, quite definitely, "You're coming with me." All right, so we went to the police station, and we sat for some time in the reception, and then we were brought into he must have been the police chief, into his office, one at a time, separately. We were taken in and we were interviewed. Because we were dressed like this. And this made them wonder. This was a smaller town, maybe the first time they had seen Western Hare Krishnas, I don't know. But the policeman was kind of testing me whether I really, if I'm the real thing. So we got discussing Bhagavad Gita. And initially I was kind of worried, maybe he's Christian and therefore he's not going to be happy with a Western Hare Krishna. Whatever he was, at one point he quoted this verse. This is the verse that practically anyone who says they know Bhagavad Gita in India, this is the verse they know. Karmanyevadikaraste ma paleshu kadachana ma karma paletu mate sangusta karmani. He looked at his assistant like, "You see, I know Bhagavad Gita, huh?" So after he interviewed us both, he said, "Okay, now you can go." Okay, can we ask just why you were calling us and interviewing us? Yeah, he said that in a few days the Prime Minister of India is coming to our city, and we're just checking any strangers, foreigners coming in. We don't want any trouble. Oh, okay. We weren't planning any trouble. We're just going shopping. We just want to visit a snake temple. So ever since then, I've been associating this verse with that episode and that gentleman. Right, so let me see now if I have this properly available. So perfection, siddhi, or also success, is a word that Srila Prabhupada used quite a bit. And so much so, in his writings, in his lectures, that, what's now? That should know it. Let's try that again. No. Okay, come on. I guess I have to start it over. Yeah. Technology is great when it works, and horrible when it doesn't work. Power off. That's probably going to make me lose that file. Let's see. Okay, so Prabhupada used this word success a lot. We counted the numbers. You can search in the database. I forgot the numbers now, but like thousands of times. And this got me thinking about how he's using that word, and how does he? Why so much emphasis on success, especially when Krishna says, "Be equal in success and failure." Prabhupada also speaks about failure sometimes, but not nearly as much as success. And he does say, in other contexts, to be equiposed in success and failure. But he also, he puts a lot of emphasis on success. What is that? Of course, he means what we would call spiritual success. So this got me thinking, and I'm in the process of preparing what will be a so-called academic presentation just on this topic. There's going to be a conference probably next year now. That's not what I wanted. This is what I wanted. Oh, that's amazing. It doesn't work. Sri Gornitai are not going to let me do it. It's never done this before. Let's see. See, I had myself all prepared. And Krishna said, yeah, you and your preparation. Yeah, okay. I have several quotes where Srila Prabhupada is referring to success. And I wanted to refer to some of these, but that's not going to happen. So what we can do instead is we can discuss what do we understand about success in general, and maybe more specifically for ourselves. Do we consider ourselves successful in our practice of Krishna consciousness? And if so, what do we mean by that? What do we mean by success? And what would failure be? We used to say, it's getting warm, back in the old days, when someone took up Krishna consciousness and then after some time we didn't see them, we would say, oh, that person blooped. Blooped. And that became an ISKCON, became part of ISKCON lexicon. Do you say like that also in Croatian? Blupno. Blupno.
We just took the English word. Put the end in.
Yeah. Well, also in German, they say gebloopt. Gebloopt. Yeah, so that would have been considered, big-time failure. Nowadays, I don't know, we don't hear that so much. And it's more like, instead of blooping, it's more like fading away. Fading out, fading back in. But there's a lot of sense, I think, in our culture, in our society, that we are we're somehow the chosen ones. I guess we get some kind of sense of rightness from that. That idea of being the chosen ones, that goes way back in Western history. Of course, the Jewish tradition was all about how God's chosen people, where He made a covenant. You know this word, covenant? A contract, basically. God makes a contract with His chosen people, and when they follow His contract, then all is well, and when they don't follow it, they're in big trouble. That was, I guess, in simple terms, that's the ancient Jewish idea. There's other groups, religious groups. What is it? The Jehovah's Witnesses, they say 100,000 are chosen. No room for the rest of us. I don't know. This must be a faulty misrepresentation, because it doesn't make sense to me, because they're also preaching. They want more and more people to join.
There are 100,000 that will come to God, and then they will manage but everybody else will wait in the earth.
They'll manage that everyone else what?
These 100,000 will come with God, and then they will manage the earth.
They'll manage the earth
for the rest of us.
For the rest of us. Oh, okay. That sounds a little bit like the British Empire. The British Empire managed India with approximately 100,000 people. That's what I read or heard. In other words, millions and millions of people. They managed it with 100,000. So, who got that idea from whom? The British got it from the Jehovah's Witnesses, or the Jehovah's Witnesses from the British? I know. Okay, perfection, siddha. Anyone want to share any thoughts you have? Your impressions, your feelings about this idea of perfection or success in spiritual life? Any thoughts? Anything? Devarshi Narayana, you look like you have something to say.
I think when we are not success every morning, we can see if we are success with chanting japa or not success. Like today was good or not.
Just getting up in the morning and chanting Hare Krishna, 16 rounds. That's
with listening.
And listening, good, yes. Then you can say, okay, I'm a success today. And tomorrow we start all over again, right? Okay, yes.
Mataji Savitri said to follow the principles and chant the rounds year after year, year after year. And also to read Bhagavad books.
year after year. Okay, that's nice. Yes, yes.
Our authorities and other devotees are satisfied with us.
Ah, this sounds very hierarchical. Yes. Okay, Prabhupada mentions that in the purport, serving Krishna or serving the servants of Krishna. He says one has to become the servant of Krishna or the servant of the servant Krishna. And where does he say it? The measure of success, I think he uses that word here, is to see that Krishna is satisfied. To which then one may ask, how do we know if Krishna is satisfied, right? Well, Himavati Mataji asked Srila Prabhupada, how do I know if the deities are satisfied? She was the pujari. How do I know? And Prabhupada said, well, if you see Krishna smiling, then you know that Krishna is satisfied. And me, in my skepticism, thought, that can't be right. Because Krishna is always smiling. The deity is made, so he's always smiling, even if he doesn't want to smile. Krishna is smiling. But Prabhupada said, if you see Krishna smiling, he's satisfied. But we could take that as meaning, yes, he's smiling in his sort of usual way, but to really see him smiling, not just in a sort of fixed sort of way, but when you really feel he's really smiling, then, satisfied. Sounds like the dogs are having their kirtan now. Anything else? Other ideas about success? How do we feel about failure? Yes.
One really interesting thing, Maharaj, if you can comment that, so Prabhupada said in this comment that Arjuna should not consider success or failure because it's about Krishna, the results on Krishna, and it's not his thing to think about the results.
Right.
So maybe if you can enlighten us in this regard.
I don't know if I can enlighten you. The question was about, as Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport, gain or victory are Krishna's concern. Arjuna is simply advised to act according to the dictation of Krishna. Gain or victory are Krishna's concern. And of course, Krishna tells Arjuna in the 11th canto, Nimitta matram bhava. Savyasachan, just be my instrument and don't worry about the result. So being the instrument. So it's a kind of key, it's a very key point in the principle of bhakti. You could say it's the core of bhakti ethics, is that one is working or acting or doing to please someone else, and whatever the result is, that's all, we would say in English, it's on his account. It's on his account. It's not on our account. This is the whole issue with regard to the problem of karma, right? This is why the Gita is considered very special in all the Vedic literature. It's giving a solution to the problem of karma, which is not that we should just stop everything and go to the Himalayas and meditate. Rather, it's saying, do your duty, whatever it is, and don't do it for yourself, do it for Krishna. And Krishna will take care of the rest. And Krishna tells us in the 4th chapter, Namang karmani limpanti name karma pale spriha iti mam yo vijanatir karma birna sabhadyate. Someone who understands na mam karmani limpanti. Limpanti means literally smeared. They smear. Na karmani limpanti mam. Actions do not implicate me. Na mam karmani limpanti na me karma pale spriha. And there's no spriha, there's no longing on my part for karma pala, for the fruits. So that's interesting. Here, what we've been reading with 47 and now 48 is you don't have a right to the fruits. And Krishna is saying, I'm not interested in the fruit. But there's fruit. There will be fruit. Whenever there's action, there's results of action, and that result, that is fruit. So who gets the fruit? Well, Krishna gets it, but he's not interested in it. Okay. That's interesting. But yeah, this is the idea that being the agent, the instrument, Prabhupada uses the word instrument, nimitta, and I think another word that can be used is agent. And agency has a kind of double sense in English. Anybody here is an insurance agent? Do we have any insurance agents here? No? Or do we have any under FBI agents? I don't think if we had, they would volunteer that information, would they? So the agent is one who is representing an organization, an institution, right? In this context, representing the Supreme Person, Krishna. But in Anglophone, in English philosophy of ethics, the idea that we, as human beings, are agents of action is a key concept. It has the sense that we can intend for something to happen. It's not that we are simply patients, we are agents. We can make things happen. We can be intentional and therefore responsible. So with this double meaning, I think it's interesting to think how Krishna says, nimitta matram bhava, be my agent, be my representative, but also be responsible. You're taking responsibility for the person you're representing. Not just that, I'm just doing my job and I don't care anything. I don't have any responsibility. Success or failure doesn't matter to me. That's not the idea. The idea is doing one's duty with all in purpose, with desire to have a good result. Another way that Srila Prabhupada spoke about success quite a lot was the success of his mission. He was very proud of the success of his mission. Many times he would brag. You know this word brag? To brag about something. Felicity. Yeah. Yes, Srila Prabhupada would felicity. He would really, especially he would brag to people in India about how successful his mission was in the West. We have so many temples. We are distributing so many books. We are collecting $100,000 a day, he would say. He was, we can say, spiritually proud. And he would speak of this as success. And he would contrast this with, at that time, what he saw, what he considered not success of other preachers of Krishna consciousness. Yeah. Right. Anything else about success? Oh, we were going to talk more about how we feel about failure. But yes, Gaura-mitra, you were saying.
Guru Maharaj, I'm thinking now about the success. If somebody left from the Krishna consciousness or take distance from the Krishna consciousness, should we feel unsuccess in this situation if he was with someone or if he has some close relationship with someone and this person decides to have the distance from the Krishna consciousness?
If I understand, you're asking, should we feel
Yes.
failure if one of our colleagues goes away and gives up? Should we feel failure? Yes and no. I mean, sometimes it's not our failure as such. We may be doing all we can to encourage everyone. But at the same time, it's true, it's good to be, first of all, reflective. Is there something more I can do to inspire, to encourage this person, or to keep going? And yes, it's nice. Many times we hear someone kind of fades away, but the devotees kind of follow that person. No, we're not going to let you go so easily. And they visit them, bring them prasadam, and talk about Krishna. And then the people who have, the person who has faded away, they can't forget about Krishna. I can't forget Krishna. And then in this way they somehow maybe try again. That could be a way of feeling. Yes, we can also feel that as a collective. We may feel a certain collective failure. Why is it that so many who come through the door go back out the door and we don't see them? Why is that? What are we missing? Why is it that we are are we being not so personal as we think we are? I always remember Sridhar Swami giving a talk. I kind of think it was here in Croatia, but not sure. He was telling about some yoga center in New York City that he visited. And he was, I don't know if he used this expression, but it's a kind of American slang. He said he was blown away by how personal they were, even though their philosophy is supposed to be impersonal. So they were so personal. They were just so, so caring, so nice. And maybe we're not as personal as we think we are sometimes. Actually, yes, I was in Oxford a few weeks ago, and we have this center there for kind of academic studies, and there's one young man who is sort of connected with our center, and he's studying there. He's from the Philippines, bright fellow, and he was telling me once that yes, he joined the temple in Australia once, in Brisbane, and he was with them for some time, but he decided to move on, so to say. But the point is, he told me one day, he said, "Oh, today I met one of the Hare Krishnas on the street just over here. He was distributing books. And he approached me and he offered me a Bhagavad Gita. And I told this young man, I said, yes, I know Krishna, yes, I'm... do you know Bhagavad... He told him, I know the temple. I've been at the temple in Australia. But this book distributor was kind of, I don't know, sort of in a programmed sort of mood. Have you heard of Bhagavad Gita? Excuse me, I was in the temple for, several months or whatever it was. Why would I not know the Bhagavad Gita? So sometimes that sort of thing can happen. Yeah. But more generally, how do we feel about failure? Yes, Govindanand.
I'm trying to look at success and failure as a fluid thing. Something that is not final. It's a fluid thing. So at the moment, I'm not satisfied with the situation, or I'm more satisfied with the situation, but can change and move in a direction. I can be satisfied with the role, and not maybe satisfied with.
Did everyone hear what he said? Yes? More or less. Okay, so the idea of fluidity, so it's not the end of the world. The present situation is part of an ongoing story. Yes, things may be not where I want it to be, but life goes on, keep going, and there will be something good happening. Yes, Sundar Gopal.
What comes to my mind is that we should tolerate it. Like, just tolerate it, and what can you do? It already happened, so.
Tolerate, okay. Toleration, that's Krishna's first practical instruction in the Bhagavad Gita. Everyone knows the verse. Matra sparshastu kaunteya. Tangstitikshasva Bharata. Yeah, just tolerate. Yeah, so in the several instances in the Gita where Krishna speaks of dualities and opposites, there's heat and cold, there's happiness and distress, there's success and failure. Those are kind of the three typical. There's also fame and infamy. So reputation gained, reputation lost. Loss of reputation, that can be the most difficult. And Krishna says that to Arjuna also. You should fight because what is everyone going to think of you if you don't fight? They're just going to make jokes about you. But I think there's something else here. There's tolerance, yes, but there's something else when we think about what we just read, yogasta, samatvam yoga, uchate, being equal, being equiposed, suggesting that there's something beyond both success and failure in all spheres, whether it's spiritual or material. There's something beyond all of that, and that's us, and that's Krishna. And to find that where it really isn't a difference between the success and the failure, that's yoga. That's what Krishna is saying. There isn't a difference between what we call success and what we call failure. Figure that out. Anyway, something to contemplate. Right. In any case, what does Sanjay say at the end of the Gita about this conversation? Yatra Yogeshvaro Krishna, Yatra Partha Dhanurdana, Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhutva. I'm getting rusty. Tatra Shri Vijayo Nita Dhruvam, etc. Wherever Arjuna and Krishna are, wherever these two are together, in other words, wherever this conversation is going on, Tatra Shri, there's going to be great opulence, Vijaya, victory, so that's success. Bhuta is power, and Nita is morality. All these are going to be present wherever there's Arjuna and Krishna. Yep, so if we can be there with Krishna and Arjuna in all circumstances, then all is going to be well. What do you think? Yes? No? Maybe? Hopefully. Could be. Good chance. Okay, shall we do the Hare Krishna sandwich? Have a little kirtan again? Grantara Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Hare Krishna.